Gender dysphoria is the condition of being in a state of conflict between gender and physical sex. A transsexual is a person in which the sex-related structures of the brain that define gender identity are exactly opposite the physical sex organs of the body. Put even more simply, a transsexual is a mind that is literally, physically, trapped in a body of the opposite sex. So begins the story of Gianna Chao, a courageous young woman who 20 years ago was born anatomically male. Her journey began the day she was born, day one of her existence, and already she was facing the single biggest conflict that she would ever see. She was born on July 15th, 1986, only her birth certificate clearly showed a different name, Joseph. The big block M after the inscription of the word gender popped off the page in a separate font and color like a sore thumb. She was raised in a strict home by parents who wanted nothing better than their little boy to be what they believed to be the ideal child. Taught to pray to God before bedtime every night, Gianna prayed every night that one day she'd wake up with the proper organs that would officially define her as a real female. To escape the pain of living life in the wrong body, Gianna began to secretly try on her mother's and grandmother's feminine clothing. She began to experiment with makeup and would put it on in secret. Even though playing dress-up was the only thing that made her really happy, when caught in the act, she was told she was disgusting, demented, and perverted. As she grew older and gender roles became more clearly defined, Gianna felt more and more out of place. She constantly complained to her family that she felt as though she were trapped in the wrong body. Who she saw in the mirror was a far cry from the person she knew was inside of her. In 5th grade, Gianna took part in a sex ed workshop. She was asked to line up by the front door of her classroom by gender. Having been tormented by her male peers, but accepted by her female classmates, Gianna nonchalantly stood in the back of the girls' line. Everyone giggled a bit, and the teacher forced her to line up with the boys. She immediately began to cry and confided in a friend that she wanted to die. She stayed in bed for weeks and began to withdraw. She was diagnosed with pervasive refusal syndrome, that is, she refused to eat and speak. She was prescribed antidepressants, which proved a quick but impermanent fix. Shortly after, Gianna caught pneumonia and took codeine cough syrup in what would be her first run-in with mood-altering drugs. With puberty around the corner, Gianna was running from reality and she wasn't looking back. Once the codeine kicked in, Gianna let out a boisterous cackle. It was the first time since she was a child that she'd been able to laugh. She kept the remainder of the medicine in her cabinet and would drink it every day after school. In her opiate-induced euphoria, Gianna would once again play dress-up as she'd been doing secretly for years. With her bedroom door locked, she would dress as she was meant to be. By 17, Gianna emerged from Fantasyland and quit using drugs. Following her heart and ignoring the devastating threats of abandonment from her family, she began taking hormones. By 18, Joey was Gianna. She has recently celebrated her 3-year anniversary on hormones. Every day she is more and more passable. And though challenges are ever present in her daily life, she has overcome a lot of obstacles in her trying to find herself. She has transformed, like a caterpillar, into a beautiful butterfly,